Hello and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here for the very first time, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name's Hannah and on this channel I post a lot of videos about anti-MLM, like a lot of videos, like almost 180 videos now. So as always, I have that big playlist linked at the beginning of every video and in the description box below. If you're really into anti-MLM content, that is a great playlist to binge through, so I've been told. For today's video, however, I'm bringing you another MLM horror stories. These are the personal experiences that people have had with MLM companies. They so graciously take the time to write out those stories and send them to me. They entrust me with their horrific experiences and they give me permission to share it in these videos. So if at any point you have your own MLM horror story that you'd like to send my way, please don't hesitate to do so. I have a massive folder full of MLM horror stories right now, but it's a fantastic problem to have and I can never have too many. And just a fair warning that my cat, Zeke, you know him well. He's absolutely off his rocker tonight. I don't know what his deal is. It's been about 20 minutes of nonstop meowing at me. I don't know why. I don't know what is going on with him. It started when I was in the bathroom getting ready for this video and he followed me all the way to the other end of the house and it hasn't stopped since. I was actually just taking my phone and recording him and putting it on my Instagram story to be like, look at this cat. He will not shut up. He is gearing up to be an absolute menace in the background of the video. I just know it. And you know what? Because I get so many comments of people saying that they love Zeke, they love seeing him in my videos, they love hearing him, I'm just gonna insert those clips right here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm gonna pay the cat tax early in this video apparently. I'll timestamp it down below so you can skip ahead if you want to. Get it all out of your system. This isn't gonna last long. I can already tell. Oh, Zeke. I'm too tired for this. Really? Really? How about you don't? I haven't even started filming yet. So there you go. He's being insufferable. Love him to death, but he's driving me up a wall today. Maybe he's gonna make a liar out of me and not make any appearances in this video. That would be great for me. That means I can get through these stories quickly and then I can go to bed. But just fair warning, I'm probably just gonna read right over him in this video. And without further ado, let's read some stories. This story says, "Hi Hannah, I ask that you please keep me anonymous. I have quite the story to tell you about being prey to an MLM. This story involves eating disorders and body dysmorphia, so I put forth this warning at the beginning. I was struggling with my weight and a friend was posting on social media about losing weight and feeling great. I was interested. I met with my friend and she told me about Optavia and how wonderful it was, how you work with a coach, her, who was trained in proper diet and nutrition, and you attend weekly meetings and other aspects of the program. We chatted and I was hooked. I ordered an intro package which cost over $500. In my mind, I was hoping, praying that this would work and that I'd finally lose the weight. I justified the cost to myself and my husband by saying this will replace regular foods, so I'm saving money overall. That is one of the ways they kind of get you with Optavia, because the idea is that you eat these fuelings, as they're called, multiple times a day. I think it's somewhere between 3 and 5 of the fuelings you eat per day, depending on the plan that you choose. And yeah, it's a lot of money up front for things that are pre-packaged, like snack foods and powders and drink mixes. But they kind of sell you on the idea that you're going to be eating these things instead of paying for groceries, which actually I've debunked that multiple times in other videos before, breaking down the cost of food from a grocery store and comparing it to Optavia. It's not saving you any money. What you're going to be doing is spending more money for less calories, more money for less nutritional value. It's not a good deal in the slightest, but that's the way they pitch it to help you justify that cost. I became obsessed with my weight and my body image. I scrutinized packages down to the teaspoon and calorie it would equate to. I spoke to my coach once a week, meticulously describing my meals and my weight and how many pounds and inches I had lost, and ways that I could lose weight faster by eating less and drinking more shakes, since those will do that. These fuelings were only about 100 calories each, some even as low as 90 calories. I passed up family gatherings and special celebrations with my husband because the food did not fit into my allowed foods. I attended the weekly meetings, hearing success stories from others about how great the program was. I kept justifying the insanity of it all, insisting that I would only temporarily be on a meal plan. Meanwhile, my coach/friend stopped participating, citing that it was unhealthy and unsafe to partake in. She explained to me that the training the coaches were given was not actually a proper diet and nutrition training, and that she felt uncomfortable coaching other people on things that an actual nutritionist should be doing. That should have stopped me, but it did not. I soldiered on. Hold up. Okay, wait. The person who sold this to you, the Optavia rep, the Optavia coach as they're called, the person who got you involved with all of this came to the realization for herself that, hey, this is not appropriate for me to be recommending. This is not safe. This is not healthy. I'm actually not going to do it anymore. But that didn't deter you? Wow. Like, I'm really actually grateful that somebody in Optavia realized that. I feel like they all have to come to that realization eventually, I would hope. And good for her for realizing that, for being like, you know what? I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not qualified for this. This does not seem healthy, and I'm not going to endorse it anymore. Major props to her. That is such a huge realization for people in MLMs to overcome. But unfortunately, you said it did not deter you. You soldiered on. I was taken over by my friend's coach, who was even more obsessed with the program. I fell deeper into the cycle, fixated on food and body image and weight. I had a ridiculous weight that I wanted to get to, and I got within 7 pounds of it. Yes, I lost the weight, but it was at the cost of everything. I became anorexic, eating only about 800 calories per day, drinking close to 200 ounces of water. 1 second. Ounces to gallons. 200 ounces is equivalent to about 1.5 gallons of water a day. 1.5 gallons. Look, I've tried to drink a gallon of water in a day just as like a fun little challenge for myself to see if I could do it. It was a full-time job. Remembering to drink that much water and the amount of time that you're spending in the bathroom, unreal, so unsustainable. Also, I don't feel like that's particularly healthy. What would I know? I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a professional of any kind. But I do know there is such thing as overhydrating yourself. And I wonder if for some people, a gallon and a half of water a day probably would be overhydrating. Anyway, sorry, that was very shocking, but it says that you were eating about 800 calories a day, drinking close to 200 ounces of water, and exercising like a mad woman. I toted that I had become healthy, and even my husband expressed concern for me. And yes, this entire time I was spending between $500 and $1,000 a month on the fuelings. My coach tried multiple times to get me to become a coach and sell the product. I got so close to doing it, but when I explained it to my husband, he informed me that it was an MLM and that I would be sinking money into a pit and not making any money off of it. I highly value my husband's opinion, so I took his advice on this, but when it came to being a customer, I ignored him entirely, being so fixated on losing the weight that I continued to hurt myself. I began having major digestive issues, leading to multiple doctors and hospital visits, but I did not reveal to any of them that it might be the Optavia fuelings. My body literally rejected the fuelings at that point. When my husband begged me to quit the meal plan, I finally agreed with him. I was concerned about my digestive issues, I was eating little to nothing and exercising constantly, and had developed a thyroid problem as well as my mental health being severely affected. My coach kept trying to get me to purchase the products, but I had to be extremely firm with her and tell her no more. I since gained the weight back and more. I am petrified about eating for fear that I will fall down that rabbit hole again and go back to my disordered eating habits. I've stopped exercising entirely. Everything I had been taught by the program was very disordered eating. Did I lose the weight? Sure, but in the process, I lost myself. Optavia is still being promoted as a healthy weight loss plan, and I'm concerned for those who believe it. My coach has since also left the company, but also agreed with me and my friend, stating that the habits Optavia follows is unhealthy and promotes disordered eating habits. I hope that this story helps others to think twice before joining a program that restricts the caloric intake to below 1,200 to 1,500 calories. I wish I had never been a part of this MLM, and I want others to be made aware of it. Thank you for sharing your message and helping others to not fall victim to MLMs. Wow, my goodness. I have called Optavia a starvation diet, an eating disorder diet multiple times in the past in multiple other videos. And your story is the perfect example of why I call it that, because it is. It's literally a starvation diet. It actually causes you to think that disordered eating habits are okay because they market it like a healthy plan, like an easy way to get your nutrition in. Just eat 5 fuelings a day and you will be healthy and you will lose weight. But at the most basic level, in the simplest of terms that I can possibly explain it, weight loss occurs when you are intaking less calories than you are expending. This is what's called a caloric deficit. And clearly, if the Optavia plans are only allowing for you to eat like 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day, I think it's safe to say that most people generally would be able to lose weight on that kind of plan even if they didn't exercise. Most people burn more calories than that in a day just doing your basic metabolic functions, okay? Breathing, circulating your blood, digesting your food. All of these things burn calories in your body. This is called your basal metabolic rate. This is the number of calories your body naturally burns at rest. So you can imagine that if you're only intaking 1,200 calories a day, but you're burning, say, 1,500 calories a day just staying alive, then obviously you're gonna drop the weight. Now mix in excessive exercise and you've got a really unhealthy cycle. I think one of the byproducts of the Optavia program is that it causes people to be overly obsessive about everything that they're eating. The thing about Optavia is that everything comes in a package with a calorie label on it. It tells you exactly what is in every single serving, and it makes you become so obsessive about this has 90 calories, this has 100, this has 110. Add them all together and I have this many calories daily. And that makes for a really, really painful transition off of the Optavia programs, because then you go back to the real world of real food and the calculations are not that simple. And it's easy to understand how somebody who does the Optavia programs now has this unhealthy relationship with calorie counting and looking at labels and tracking every little thing that they're eating, and they take that with them after the fact, after they've left Optavia behind. It's a recipe for disaster, and as you said in your story, what tends to happen when people come off the Optavia diet is they gain all the weight back plus some, because it's not sustainable. This is not a diet that you can keep with you for the rest of your life. You shouldn't. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. And you know that. You don't need me to preach that to you, but I'm just saying. Optavia is a quick fix to drop a ton of weight in a very, very unhealthy way that cannot be sustained or maintained in the long term. And I'm here to tell you that that is perfectly okay. The Optavia diet failed you. You did not fail the Optavia diet. And gaining all of that weight back afterwards is perfectly normal and honestly to be expected. And that doesn't mean that you have failed, and that doesn't mean that you were healthy before when you were doing Optavia and now you're not because you gained it all back. Actually, I would say it's the complete opposite. Optavia is what was making you unhealthy, and now it's probably better for your body that you have restored all of that weight that you lost in that unhealthy way. But what do I know? Obviously, I'm not your doctor or anything, but I'm so grateful for your vulnerability in your story because it's the perfect first-hand account of what I try to explain regarding Optavia, that it is so dangerous, it's not sustainable, we should not be partaking in it, and that it very much is a starvation diet. So thank you for writing in this story, even though it is very sensitive and very vulnerable. It's my hope that it can prevent other people from falling for this claim that Optavia is good for your health, because it very much is the exact opposite. All right, this next story is an absolute behemoth of an email. I'm fairly certain that this is the longest story I've ever read on my channel, but based on the very first paragraph of it, I am hooked, and I think you will be too. I haven't even read through the whole thing, honestly. The very first paragraph of this email hooked me so well that I just went, yep, we're reading that, and I moved it to my folder. So everyone, take a collective deep breath. We're gonna go on this journey together. I have no idea what's in store for us. This story says, "Hi Hannah, I hope you're doing well. Today I have a story for you about how my Olympian mother exploited her disabled children, manipulated her family and friends, lied about outrageous health claims, spent over $8,000 per year on capsules, and emotionally abandoned and medically neglected my sister and I for $12,000 a year with Juice Plus. This is a story that spans around 15 years, her tenure with the company, which continues into the present. Buckle up." Oh, I'm buckled up. Let's do this. I grew up very close to my mom. She homeschooled me and my sister through 5th grade, and I spent a lot of time with her. She's always been very health conscious and athletic, and I spent a lot of time out in nature as a child. My mother was in the Olympics many decades ago as part of a bobsled team, and she is really somewhat of a superwoman. She has 2 master's degrees and was accepted into a prestigious medical school, which she declined to attend. I've never known anyone who pushes themselves as hard as my mom pushes herself, and her motivation and drive to succeed really makes her a prime target for MLMs, but not in the sense of being a part of the basic scam and getting out. My mom knows the game. She knows what it takes to succeed in an MLM and will do anything she believes is necessary to get there. Strangely though, I never thought my mom would join an MLM. She likes Mary Kay makeup, but always had a lot of unkind and insulting things to say about the sales reps and their shiny pink cars, and she would frequently joke that I should never be one of those women in the Pepto-Bismol VW bugs. She did host parties, and I have vivid memories of being a small child in our dimly lit living room, looking up at a table full of kitchen stuff and thinking that the Pampered Chef pizza cutter was the most amazing, unique thing in the world. I grew up confused. Were these kinds of businesses good or bad? My mom is an extremist, and I was told very good and very bad things about MLMs. When she joined one, I didn't realize what it was at first because she always said it wasn't like Avon or Mary Kay or any of the other girly girl direct selling businesses. This one was different. This one was something new and incredible, a miracle solution much deeper and much more important than silly things like lipstick or essential oils. This was minuscule amounts of dehydrated kale in a capsule. This was Juice Plus. Because I really respected my mom at the time, I believed everything she said. After all, my mom was an athlete. She had studied health and knew a lot about the body. She was very smart and educated. And when she started with Juice Plus, she built these giant binders full of research and evidence for the efficacy of the pills. She carried pamphlets around everywhere, leaving them on business cork boards and explaining the pills to everyone she knew. Of course, now I know that the majority of studies showing any positive effect from Juice Plus were actually funded or run by people with a financial stake in the business, whereas unaffiliated studies don't actually show any real positive benefit that wouldn't be exponentially improved by just taking a simple multivitamin. At the time, though, I didn't really doubt her. My mom was a genius. I was probably around 9 when she joined the business, so she's been in the business for about 15 years now, but at the time it seemed like everything to me. I was planning to become a surgeon, and in middle school I became very health conscious. I asked for her to teach me about health, and she took me along to health talks, which were actually just small-scale local Juice Plus conferences. She used to tell me that I could join the business when I was old enough, and as a tween, I really thought I would. In middle school, I decided to go to public school, so I had less time with my mom. I think I started to feel a break from Juice Plus around this time, as she felt constantly focused on the business, and I never felt that I could get any time with her. There was always an urgent call, a video meeting, text to answer, someone to meet to convince them to join the business. I felt sad that we didn't have time to go to places on the weekends anymore, so I spent most of my time away from school holed up in my room, as I lived very far from classmates and was socially isolated. On the weekends, I used to go with my mom to craft fairs and farmers markets to sell Juice Plus. I couldn't drive yet, so it was the only way to leave the house. I liked craft fairs because you could see all sorts of artisan work, from wood carvings to glass-blown sculptures to earrings made of cut-up credit cards. My mom tabled at these events, and though I supported her, I was always unsettled by her presence there. Why did people let her table at these events? I was and am an artist, and it just felt strange to me. To this day, I truly fail to understand what definition of craft would ever include a supplement MLM where reps don't even hold inventory. There isn't even anything physical to sell. At one of these craft fairs, my mom didn't bring enough food and insisted on staying until the fair was completely closed before taking down her booth. There was a cafe at the fair, but she didn't let me go buy anything because she didn't know know the nutrition content. At her booths, she often had a display of fresh produce in order to show all of the things that are supposedly in those pills. And I got so hungry that I grabbed a cabbage that had been sitting out in the open air of an indoor craft fair all day, and I just started eating it. I do actually love cabbage, so it's not exactly weird for me, but it's kind of gross in this context. But people walking by saw me eating the cabbage and they would laugh about it and talk to my mom. And my mom used it to talk about how healthy her kids were and how supported they were by Juice Plus. She even implied that taking the pills made my sister and I more open to eating vegetables. I was starving, but she used it to sell her product, and I heard her mention this at all future fairs. When my sister and I attended fairs and hung out at parties hosted by her or her upline, we were always expected to talk about how much we liked Juice Plus, how much we liked the chewables and how good it made us feel, how we never got sick, how healthy we were. The problem is, none of it was true. My mom always told and tells this story to people about how my dad never gets sick because of Juice Plus. But that's not something those pills have the capability to do, and it just wasn't true. If my dad was sniffly, it was allergies. If I felt bad, I wasn't supposed to talk about it. This was made even more complicated by my actual health concerns. Going forward, trigger warning for disordered eating and medical abuse/neglect. My younger sister has life-threatening asthma, and both of us struggle deeply with mental health and have since middle school. I was diagnosed with MCAS in high school, or mast cell activation syndrome, a condition which is disabling for me as it causes freak allergic responses which are difficult to predict and cause a variety of uncomfortable symptoms such as intense fatigue. Because of this diagnosis, I became less athletic as I was disabled and not capable of going on day-long hikes with my family anymore. My mom's frontline solution for my sister and I's health problems was to always make us take double or triple doses of Juice Plus. If we didn't take it regularly and in large amounts, that was the reason for any kind of suffering: breathing problems, digestive issues, fatigue, migraines, depression, anxiety, psychosis. All of these things could be worsened by simply forgetting to take Juice Plus. After my diagnosis, my mom joined a lot of MCAS Facebook groups where I know she was just shilling Juice Plus as a miracle solution for all these desperate parents. It makes me sick to think about. She took me to some regular doctors and some health gurus, and I legitimately have trauma from some of the ways I was treated. In one strange health office recommended by someone in Juice Plus, I was made to lie on my side in a dark room and liquid was poured into my ears. While my mom was chatting up the practitioners and passing out pamphlets, they left me there for hours. I felt it would last forever. It was legitimately like torture. In the dark room with this liquid in my ear, all sound coming from a distance like I was lying at the bottom of a pool. They forgot me and my mom didn't care to ask. I was there for more than 2 hours, and in the end it fixed nothing, answered nothing, and I was back to square one. Except now with all of this fear and the feeling that she hadn't cared at all. On the drive home, she said she convinced one of the doctors, if they were doctors, to try out a sample run of Juice Plus chewables with his kids. I was empty, lost, like I was still there in that dark room, and when I tried to tell her how I felt, she just shut me down. She got most of her health advice and directives by other people in her team, from her upline, her upline's upline, or Juice Plus higher ups. If the Juice Plus people are saying to do a paleo diet to go gluten-free, she does that, and we should too. If Juice Plus says to do intense cardio workouts or hot yoga every day, we should follow their advice. If I didn't go on a gluten-free diet for 6 months straight to try it, even though I had been repeatedly tested and was not gluten sensitive or celiac, it was my fault I was suffering. I was so physically disabled and depressed, and I lost work and school and ended up having to finish high school online because of what I was experiencing and the emotional abuse from my family around my mental and physical health. I can't blame Juice Plus for all of it, but the group mentality and cult brainwashing from Juice Plus leaders made me feel so isolated from her, a feeling which unfortunately remains to this day, as she still acts and feels this way. Alright, so we're gonna take a breather. At this point, we're about halfway through your story now, and I haven't paused even once yet. I just feel like it's important to validate all of your feelings surrounding the situation, because I can't even imagine what that would be like to have diagnosed health conditions that I'm struggling with on a daily basis, and my caretakers caretaker, my mom, my parent, doesn't seem to be taking that seriously enough to get me the care that I need. Here on this channel, we all know that MLM supplements are not able to cure or treat any kind of diseases or health conditions. MLM supplements aren't really proven to do anything. And of course, there's no one magic pill that you can take that's going to solve all of your health problems. And it's one thing if you are an adult who consents to signing up for this MLM scheme and taking these products and spending your hard-earned money on it. If you want to do that for yourself, fine, that's your prerogative. But it's a much more serious, much deeper issue when you are imposing that onto your children. It sounds like you're dealing with health conditions that would really benefit from some medical intervention, but you might not have been getting the care you really needed for that because of your mom's belief that Juice Plus can help it, because of her buy-in to this mentality that there is this magical pill that she can give you. And you've done a great job articulating how that can make you feel as a child really isolated, really lonely, and really not taken care of. So I just wanted to kind of pause the story there to validate you in those feelings and let you know that I hear you and I understand where you're coming from. And that's gotta be a really terrifying place to be as a kid. And it kind of begs the question, would this have been your experience if your mom, if your caretaker wasn't in an MLM and wasn't so brainwashed by all of these product claims? Maybe you would have gotten a different course of treatment that would have worked better for you. It's heartbreaking. I'm really sorry that this is happening to you. In my freshman year of college, I actually had a horrible relapse of my MCAS, which caused me to be bedridden for nearly 5 months, and I dropped out and went to live at home. When I came home from college, I brought home some food from my dorm, which included one of the small microwavable Chef Boyardee ravioli containers. When my mom found it, she told me that I was failing my family, failing my sister, who my mom was forcing to be gluten-free at the time, again, with no evidence that she's sensitive. She thought that my sister's childhood OCD could be cured by this, and she told me not to tell my sister about my mixed feelings on Juice Plus because of how important it was. She made me take double pills every morning, even when I had allergic reactions to the fruit blend pill, the red one. She just didn't think that I could be allergic to them. I was exhausted. It was the worst year of my life. I moved out, and when I was having financial struggles afterwards after leaving a toxic job, she suggested that I join her Juice Plus team because it would be so easy to make good money with it if I just worked hard. Even then, I thought that was insane. I didn't know how BS the pills were yet, but I was only 18 with like 3 friends who were all broke teenagers, and my social anxiety at the time was so severe that it verged on psychosis. No way. But she constantly judged me for saying no. Now that I know what I do, I can only think, so easy? How easy was it for you, Mom? I did end up making money with freelance that summer, working as a ghostwriter for romance novels, interestingly enough. The jobs don't pay well, but they are at least minimum wage and allow for creativity and can be done remotely. If you like to write love stories, even if you think your writing isn't that good, and are just looking for a little flexible money on the side, you can find jobs like that on Upwork. Just a plug for anyone who really wants something flexible and fun that you can do on the side. Lots of parents do this actually, and for people who self-publish their own work, not ghostwriting like I did, writing romance novellas can be legitimately a lucrative and fulfilling career that leaves people time to be parents, just a suggestion. I'm married now and recently graduated with a master's degree in a health-related field, and with distance, I can reflect on my mother's emotional, physical, and medical abuse. She seems to have Munchausen's by proxy and also somehow anti-Munchausen's by proxy, in that she decides what health issues she thinks I have and she ignores the rest. I know some of this always existed, but I really genuinely feel that the health cult of Juice Plus worsened her behavior. As has been talked about previously on your channel, people in health supplement MLMs really believe that you're actively harming yourselves if you don't take their pills, if you don't follow their exact programs, if you don't do all of the rituals and diets and routines the company decides they want to shill. And there's Zeke making his appearance. I'm just gonna press on and continue to talk over him. It's made me feel so isolated from my mom, and I can no longer tell her about my health concerns or anything that's going on with my body because she is so deeply delusional. She went gluten-free because of Juice Plus company suggestions. And even though she recently took a test that shows that she was never gluten sensitive in the first place, she just keeps drinking the Kool-Aid. I think it would just hurt too much for her to consider that she could have been wrong about any of this stuff over the last 15 years. There's nothing I really can say or want to say about it. Around a year ago, I had a conversation with my dad where I asked about Juice Plus and how much my mom made. This is actually around the time I discovered your channel and the anti-MLM rabbit hole, so it was on my mind. He told me that at peak, my mom had made $112,000 a year. He says that number was her total revenue, not including everything she spent on booths, on gas, on business group memberships, etc. At the time, I thought, that's a lot of money. I hate MLMs, but that's pretty good. A few months later, I returned to this conversation with my dad, and I asked him about the $112,000. He made a strange face, and he told me that I had misheard him, and that it was actually only $12,000. $12,000 a year at peak. All that work, all those lost weekends, the time I wanted to spend with her, the constant calls, all of that for only $12,000 in revenue, not profit. My mom's top rank in the company was senior sales coordinator, and she told me that she didn't go higher because it just got too corporate. But I kind of don't believe her. I think she just couldn't go higher because she'd already dried up every possible source of new leads, and I mean every source. Keep in mind that senior sales coordinator is like the top 1% of the company. $12,000. My God. I wish I could say that I was surprised. $12,000 a year. $12,000 a year. And that is the best that she ever did. And she was in the top 1%. I should be shocked by that, but I'm just not. That checks out. That makes sense for an MLM scheme. And I feel shattered for you with the way that you're listing out all of these things that she did and that she lost for $12,000 a year. She has sacrificed so much in time, in money, in relationships, in trust. You have to wonder if it was worth it. You want to know who else made $12,000 in a year? Me, in college, when I worked 2 days a week as a cashier at an Ulta Beauty. This amount of money is not impressive for something that is supposed to be your full-time job and that you have dedicated 15 years of your life to. That is unreal. I was horrified. The amount of time my mom spent working with this company really made me feel sad and distant from her. When I was in public school, I felt I lost all my weekends to her events, and there were always parties at our house or another house, and she was always working, always stressed. There was constantly another tier to hit, another 1 or 2 or 10 people to recruit, and I would watch her shuffling people around to put new recruits under the person who needed them in order to boost the entire team. She also definitely occasionally participated in rank buying. The amount of anxiety this caused her and me really didn't seem worth it. Watching my mother act this way really destroyed my work ethic and sense of how to seek personal success. Nothing ever feels like enough, and I feel that if I don't push myself to the breaking point, then I'm actually failing and my hard work doesn't matter. It's sad because this is actually a reality in MLMs, and the people like my mom who do make any money at all are probably sacrificing a lot to do so, whether that's relationship, time, health, money, or basic human morality. Wow, you and I had like the same list of things that she sacrificed. Like I said, I didn't read ahead in your email, but yeah, sacrificing time, relationships, money, and basic human morality. As of May 2023, Juice Plus itself, for just one person at the normal dose, not an entire family taking double doses like we did, is $54 a month. If you double the dose and account for our full family and adding the berry blend, the Juice Plus alone, not including the complete powder or anything else, just the pills we took, would be $648 per month. For 1 year, that's $7,776. That's a legitimately insane amount of money for crushed up produce and like 4 added vitamins in a pill. I'm angry just typing this, Hannah. Insane. Again, this does not include the complete or the Tower Garden or any of the chewables or whatever, all of which she very much did buy. I think my sister and I got the pills for cheaper during some of this time because being part of the children's health study where they were supposed to call you and ask questions about your experience on the pills, but I didn't ever participate in any calls. If there were any, my mom answered the questions for us. I have a painful relationship with my parents, and Juice Plus is definitely not all to blame for that, but it is a factor. My mom really did take advantage of me and of other people, and with her rank, I know she brought a lot of people into Juice Plus who only lost money. She still sells with Juice Plus, though she has become less active due to her negative feelings about how religious the company has become and how reps use religion to sell the pills, which is a totally valid concern, but also an odd line to draw after everything that she has done. I recently learned that around 7 years ago, she actually took my DNA without my consent under the guise of food sensitivity testing and then had it tested through 23andMe and several other sites without me knowing until now. I've always made it clear to her how much I distrust genetic testing websites, and when she offered to test my DNA in high school, I made sure she knew how much I did not want to be involved. She put it under a name that has never been my legal name and also deleted the email associated with the account due to it being an MLM email she used infrequently. So I can't even get access to the accounts now to take my info off the genetic websites. Side note, is it weird to delete a Gmail account? Just let it go inactive like everyone else. I partially blame Juice Plus for her attitude around this because Juice Plus makes people in the company think that anyone's differing opinions about health are objectively wrong and shouldn't be respected. That's probably why she thought it was okay to take my DNA without my consent and test it, then upload it to other websites. Because I don't agree with her about Juice Plus, I don't get it, and therefore my health opinions don't matter. My mom is currently in a new business, Best Version Media, which is not an MLM, technically, but has a similar structure and company attitude and is definitely a scam. They make magazines that are invisible but exist everywhere, and you've definitely seen them. Publishers for the company sell ad space to various businesses. It's a scam because these look like neighborhood magazines but have nearly the same content everywhere, and the customers are local businesses who pay to advertise. These ad contracts can also be very exploitative. Check Better Business Bureau, swindling small businesses out of their money when the business owners may not see a return and don't know better. When the customers run out, the reps are encouraged to start magazines for other communities and recruit more publishers under them. The way they compensate people is also weird. My mom sells ad space to businesses, and because she's high up in the company, she makes 30% commission on those sales, which gets paid out monthly over 10 years, but stops if she leaves the company. Yuck. My mom sold over $1 million of ads last year and was recognized by the company, but she doesn't get paid her $300,000 of that unless she stays with the company for 10 years from the date she sold each ad. Now, this sounds like a deep dive I need to go on if I've ever heard of one. I've never heard of this company before. I have no idea what you're talking about, but now I'm intrigued. Now I feel like I need to go figure out what this is all about. Maybe I'll check back later with a video about that whole situation all on its own. The problem just keeps getting worse the more she sells. Apparently, she's making very good money, like actually 6 figures this time, but she sometimes works 70 hours a week, and also, as mentioned way earlier in this email, my mom is a powerhouse overachiever and not indicative of the possible results of the average person. She is genuinely like a superhuman, really the poster child of MLMs. And in Juice Plus and this new business, she has been brought into the spotlight as an example of success that is not attainable for most people in the company. Best Version Media gave her like 5 physical trophies at the last conference, and from her descriptions, it seems exactly like an MLM conference. I would know, I went to at least 2 Juice Plus conferences when I was a kid, lost in the crowds of brainwashed people doing Zumba. At least the Zumba was fun, I guess. Juice Plus is weird because I kind of feel like it's a dying MLM. They've made some things cheaper and apparently changed the Tower Garden selling structure. Yes, Tower Garden is an MLM associated with Juice Plus, so you don't have to recruit people in order to rank. I guess they're trying to make it seem like less of a pyramid scheme. Still, some of the most sickening stories on your channel have had to do with Juice Plus, and I feel like they're really dangerous and not dead enough yet that we can stop talking about them. Thank you for reading this beast of an email, Hannah, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much for a beautifully written email as well. It was a beast of an email. What I do is I copy and paste these into a Google Doc when I'm reading them, and this came out to be 12 pages long. For reference, they're usually around 3 or 4 pages, most stories are, but it was a breeze to read, and you made it super enjoyable, super engaging, and overall completely shocking. Your very first paragraph, the one that hooked me in, it delivered, okay? This was a great story, 10 out of 10, and I don't say that it's great in the sense that I'm happy that this happened to you. What I mean is that you did a fantastic job articulating everything, and honestly, I don't have much to add other than all of your feelings surrounding everything that's happened with your mom the past 15 years are valid, and that she truly does seem like the poster child for the MLM industry in the sense that she's just this chronic overachiever that is continually working herself to the bone even when it doesn't pay her much in return. She has done exactly what you are supposed to do with an MLM. Sacrifice everything, never quit, and then have basically nothing to show for it. Because think about it truly, in her best year, if she made $12,000 in revenue, and then you consider that she's spending over $8,000 a year on the products themselves, that leaves you with $4,000 of profit. But I'm sure there's other things cutting into that as well, like paying for these fees to set up at craft fairs, hosting parties, any kind of travel expenses, taxes. She's probably paying back somewhere in the ballpark of about $4,000 in taxes. So there you go. I feel like it's safe to assume that at best, she's maybe breaking even some years, but more than likely she's actually losing money with Juice Plus. Is that fair to assume? That is just bananas considering how much that she has sacrificed, as we already talked about with your story. Even Zeke thinks it's just insanity. Thank you again for taking the time to write out this email. Beautifully written, so many important details that really give us a clear picture of what's going on in these MLM companies. This story says, "Hey Hannah, so glad I finally get to submit a story to you. My name is Isis. I don't care if you use my name. And this isn't really a horrible story, but I feel this to be a comfort space for me to air my frustration since no one else around me really gets anti-MLM. I was once a part of an MLM called True Vision Health, now Truvi, and that was just a love bombing mess. I'm not here about that story though, but just wanted to bring up a company that I haven't heard anyone bring up yet. Another weight loss MLM, go figure. Anyways, my story is about a Primerica rep who tried to get me to join who happens to be a family member of mine. At the time I was pitched in person, we were in the car with each other as she was taking me to my house to grab my daughter some clothes to stay the night at her aunt's. She tried pitching me before over a text message, but I already knew the signs/lingo of a Hun from a mile away, and I decided not to text her back. Unfortunately for me, she called me out about ignoring her text in the car. I'm not the confrontational type, so my heart started beating so fast knowing that I was going to have to argue my way out of this pitch. She goes, quote, "So when are you going to give my business opportunity a chance? I'm telling you, I'm trying to be a part of the millionaires, and I know if they can do it, I can do it. We pay for your licensing, all you have to do is pay for the background check, etc." The first thing that comes out of my mouth is this an MLM? She said no and continued trying to pitch me. Luckily, we made it to my house and I was able to get out of it with just a, well, just let me know when you can get on a Zoom call with me so I can give you all the right information and don't ignore my texts anymore. I ran straight to my husband to let him know that I had just been pitched by a family member for an MLM scheme for the first time while being anti-MLM. That gave us a pretty good laugh. Fast forward maybe a month later, I get another text from said family member, basically saying things like, "Let me know what time you're available to get on a Zoom call. You'll never know. You might want to do this on the side. I'm telling you, it has changed my whole mindset." I go, "If this is Primerica, I'm not interested." Her exact words, quote, "I said the same thing, listening to unqualified opinions who were living paycheck to paycheck like me. I had to find out for myself because a lot of people start things and stop. What might not have worked for them doesn't mean it won't work for me. Always be open to new information. But okay, maybe one day you'll be ready." At that point, I had to let her know that it was honestly nothing against her but the business structure, because I felt that she felt I was attacking her. She asked how I knew about the business structure, and I told her that I watch anti-MLM content for fun, and I've seen, heard, and researched enough to not want any part of Primerica. She proceeds to send me screenshots of things that her trainer sent to her to refute my claims, like a screenshot from Primerica.com that says, "Primerica is not an MLM." She also told me that Primerica is registered by FINRA, and you can't legally be with FINRA and be an MLM. I honestly have no clue where she got that from. I could not find any information on that. So is that just a made-up thing that uplines tell their downline to keep them brainwashed? She also informed me that Primerica is, quote, "like Walmart but in financial services, and that they are different but in a good way." As far as this statement about Primerica registering with FINRA and that they don't allow MLMs and stuff, I personally don't know anything about that. I wish I did. I wish I could speak on it, but I have to do a lot more research on that. I don't know. What I do know is that it's never a good look if you have to constantly be defending your company against being a scheme, being a scam, being something sketchy that people don't want to get involved with. It's a serious red flag if people within the company have these rebuttals at the ready. Do you know what I mean? Isn't it a little suspicious that people in MLM companies are so quick and ready to defend themselves against this accusation that they're in a pyramid scheme? Wouldn't you think that if you were with a legitimate company or if you had a legitimate opportunity that wouldn't even be on your radar? You wouldn't even have to defend yourself? Isn't that weird? That's pretty telling in my opinion. After all the back and forth, she still tries pitching me one last time and asking to refer some people to her. I eventually had to tell her, look, you are barking up the wrong tree. It's a no for me. Hopefully I haven't messed up a relationship with a good family member of mine over an MLM, but the way she talks, she is invested. I already work from home as an independent contractor and I get paid hourly doing so. I did the numbers being lenient and I went with Primerica's average yearly salary of about $7,000 for reps. And I'm already at half of that, only working about 3 to 4 months now, doing 2 to 5 hours a day. So yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing out on a great opportunity. I honestly feel like I should tell her about what I do, since I seriously only do what I do on the side for a little extra money since I'm a stay-at-home mom. Anyway, thanks for reading my story. I don't know where I was going with it, I just needed to get that off my chest. I have another family member who just joined a travel MLM, so just know this will probably not be my last story. Pray for me, I'll be fighting off Huns all summer. Love your content, stay beautiful. Yeah, it sounds like she's really invested, super deep into the MLM brainwashing. Especially when she mentions something about, what did she say? Being a part of the millionaires? Ugh, goodness, like that means that she's really heavily bought into it. I feel like there's varying degrees of buy-in from people in MLMs. Some people just join because they want a discount on whatever product they sell, or some people join because they wanted a little extra money on the side. And then there's the people who join because they think that they're going to become millionaires from it. And the trend seems to be that when they are that deep into that mentality, those seem to be the people that will defend the company the hardest. They're the ones that stop at nothing. They're the ones that cut off friends and family because they're just so entrenched in this idea that being a part of Primerica is going to make them $1 million. And while it may be true that if you look at the income disclosure statement, you might see at that top rank that people make $1 million or whatever. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. But just generally speaking, you can look at those upper ranks. You can look at the people at the tippy top and yeah, they make a crap ton of money. Of course they do. That's how the pyramid scheme is designed. But sometimes it's hard to get people to fully understand why those people have made so much money. To understand why there are millionaires at the top of Primerica, you would have to understand that it operates dangerously close to a pyramid scheme. And then you would realize how unlikely it is that you yourself will make it to that level. But it's hard to get people to make those connections when they're not ready to hear it, when they're too laser focused on this dream that they've been sold. They don't want to hear that it's a scam. They can't hear that it's a scam. And just because she seemed to use this term millionaires, I also want to make the point that when you see that people are making millions of dollars in their MLM, that doesn't mean that they're millionaires. The terms get confused a lot, but the numbers that you see on income disclosure statements are earnings. They do not account for expenses. It does not mean that those people have millions of dollars in their bank account. It also doesn't mean that their net worth is millions of dollars. What it means is that the company has paid out that much money to that rep, but it does not account for any money that that rep has spent being a part of the scheme. And it also doesn't account for taxes either, which in my experience as someone who is also taxed as an independent contractor, this is going to come out to somewhere between 25 and 30% back in taxes. So that staggering number at the top of the income disclosure that you see people are making $1 million or whatever, it's super misleading and it should not be trusted, but it is so flashy and it's staggering. And sometimes people towards the bottom of the company are misled and they're duped into believing that they're going to become millionaires if they stick with this opportunity, and it's just not true. So anyway, I know I really clung on to that one word millionaires from your story, but it's always really sad to see when somebody in a family joins an MLM, they fully buy into all the lies that they've been told, and then slowly but surely it drives wedges between family members. It's never a good thing to see. Thank you for sending in your story. It's my hope, as always, that you'll be able to maintain that close relationship with that family member and that she realizes that Primerica is not going to be making her a millionaire and that she can get out sooner rather than later. And with that, that's all the stories I have for you for this MLM Horror Stories video. You know what, you guys? I usually like to read at least 5 stories. Today I only got through 3 3. I did have 5 stories picked out for this video, but I have to cut myself off right now. I'm gonna save those other 2. They're gonna move to the next one, MLM Horror Story 72, I believe it'll be. But I've been sitting here reading for about 2.5 hours at this point. I mess up a lot, okay? You know, I have to re-say things again and again and again so that they make sense. It's almost 11 p.m. I'm feeling a little bit delirious. My jaw kind of hurts from talking so much and I have to go to bed. So I hope that 3 stories for this video is okay. I'm gonna aim for 5 stories next time. I appreciate your patience with me. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.